Thank you, Brother Shore. In the most holy name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise is forever due. We thank him for raising in our midst the promised Messiah, predicted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we thank them both for their perfected representative and mercy in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet my brothers and sisters in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, just a word about the exercise that you have been given tonight. And I want to thank all of our study circle facilitators, and specifically on this particular exercise, Brother Roberts and Sister Stacy and Brother Troy for developing this. You will note that in your weekly assignment, there is a link to a message that was delivered by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at Mosque Mariam on the 23rd of October of 1994. And it was really priceless in its contents. And you will see, of course, and you went through tonight, excerpts from that message. But it is very important that you treat yourself to hearing that entire message. And I don't know if everyone completed all of the assignments or the components of the assignment, but next week, now tonight, it was not required of us that we share in the study circle necessarily what that desire is, because you may not have had time to really reflect on it. You know, he did say he wants this to be something you really want, because what we're doing now, beloved, is actually bringing into reality the theories that we are being taught in the study guide. Remember, there's theory and then there's application. You can sit in a driver's education class as long as you wish, but at some point you have to go to an automobile, get in the driver's seat, turn on the ignition, and move into traffic. Until that time, you are not driving the car. So it makes all of the lessons for naught. And that is the same thing with this study course. This is a course to elevate us and evolve us from man into God. And God has as his greatest power his will. So this is why he devoted 4 units to it. And so now Minister Farrakhan is saying to us, just think on something that you really want. You want, not what somebody wants for you, but what you want for yourself. And I can't add to what he's given us, but I will just point out a couple of things. One of the questions tonight was, would Allah want you to have this desire? If yes, explain why. If no, explain why. Well, why would we even go through such an exercise? Why would you want something? Let's say you want an automobile. Why do you want to go through the process of asking yourself, would Allah want you to have it? Well, there's a multitude of reasons for that, but one of them is our whole journey in life is to achieve oneness with Him. We're trying to align our mind with His mind, because that is the way to happiness. Happiness is when you and I think for ourselves what our Creator brought us into existence to do and be. Because ultimately we will find that our happiness is in fulfilling His purpose for us. But we have to grow to a certain state of mind. So you're really vetting your desire. Now, that doesn't mean to get scared and back off something enjoyable something pleasurable. Don't be afraid, and that's the other reason you want to ask yourself, does Allah want you to have it? Because in slavery, we were made by the Caucasian to think that God doesn't want us to have anything. And so sometimes, without even realizing, we minimize our desires. We may think, I would love to live in Arizona, but I really would also like to live in Atlanta, Georgia, or in New York. And we think we have to choose between the two. Who said we can only live in one place? Now, we can only be at one at a time, but whoever said you can't have a home in Arizona and a home in the Fiji Islands and a home on the west coast of Africa and a home in the Himalayas or wherever, we are the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. And so, ask ourselves, does Allah want me to have this? There's nothing too big for Him, as in number 3. He's got the power to bring it about. But don't think, we're growing out of the white man's thoughts of us being imposed on us. That you are limited. See, this is inferiority. And we'll get to that in a later study guide, number 12, about white superiority and black inferiority, and the highest law in the United States, which is the law of white supremacy. We're in a time when that is being destroyed. Now, we talk about thought because the minister tells us that we have a thought, but we don't think on the thought sufficiently for the thought to grow into an idea. Yaqub had not a determined thought, he had a determined idea. And that's what a thought evolves into. Remember, he said ideas are different from thoughts. Ideas, like thoughts, exist in the mind potentially or actually as a product of mental activity. You cannot have an idea or a thought if your mind is not active. But he says we don't continue to think on our thoughts. So when a thought is not supported by more thought, then it goes away. We have a good thought and it disappears. It vanishes into the ether. Then he says, someone else, and someone bore witness in the circle. Later on, that we've all been through this, you see your thought come into reality. I always said Starbucks stole my thought. But I didn't think enough on the thought for it to form into a determined idea. And so then when the white man shows up, because I always had a thought of high quality gourmet coffee and a certain type of environment. I always hated the gas station type setting. But all that to say, they stole my idea. He said, wait a minute, you don't have a corner on thought. And the worst thing you can do is begin thinking, because now it's floating into the atmosphere. And Allah will give it to someone else. Now lastly, when Allah, this is according to the Quran, so this is Allah talking, how does Allah get what He wants? He tells you point blank. When Allah desires a thing, He only, this is all He does, says to it, be, and it is. So He says to what He desires, be, and it is. Well, if He's talking to it, then it's already there. He created this whole universe from nothing. Though there was something there, which was the blackness of space. But hidden in that darkness was everything that he could ever want. And he told the dark, what did he say to the darkness? It's in the Bible. Let there be light. Who is he talking to? He's talking to the dark because he's saying let it be. So he's saying allow it. He's talking to something. Something is holding back what he wants. And he's given a command to the darkness. Say, look, I'm taking power over you. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in Theology of Time, he willed the sun into existence. And he used the sun as a weapon to conquer the darkness. He forced the darkness to give up what it was holding by exposing everything the darkness was hiding with the light of the sun. So if he could do that, then if you want Alexa, see, don't be scared. Be specific. Because the more generic and, that you are, you're talking about something vague. Like Sister said in our circle, you get what you pray for. And if you pray for something that's not definable, you're going to get an undefinable answer. So if you want the 2019 Lexus LXZ 99 or whatever it is, in black with black leather interior, okay, then envision that. Take a picture. The minister said, get a picture. We're not spooky people, but we've been made spooky. Just a white Jesus and, I just want to go sit up on a cloud. And we've been on planes. You can't sit on the cloud. But don't be afraid. I remember Sister Claudette Muhammad told me, she said, I pray to get in first class when I fly. And I started doing that, and my husband will tell you 99% of the time we get up in there. But it's not through spookism, it's through reality. Do a lot of flights, fly on the same airline. I don't go on no Priceline, Hotline. We fly United and build up points. You understand what I'm saying? We stay at the Marriott and get rewards and build up points and get upgrades, all right? It's not always with money. You have to know how to maneuver through Allah's creation. But He wants us to have ease. So if you got a 9-hour flight, you're telling me you're not even going to pray that somebody doesn't show up? Or that the agent at the desk just likes you? I remember one time when I was a very young Muslim, I was flying, and I had on my garment, I was looking so elegant, and this white woman who was she said, you know what I'm going to do? I said, no, ma'am. She said, I'm going to put you in first class because that's where you belong. I said, well, thank you so much. When I went away, I was like, yes. So I don't want to take up any more time. But when you desire a thing, do what your Creator does. And I'm telling you all this, and I haven't even been practicing. But next week, we're coming back with our progress reports. And it could be a small thing, or it can be your 9-bedroom home. The minister said you can't bring your house here, but you can take a picture of it. And you can put things in motion. And that's what the task page is. You got to start writing down, what am I going to do? Remember he asked the question, is it going to cost money? Do you have the money? How are you going to get the money? You got to start thinking these things through. And don't shut down. Just keep thinking. If you don't know for sure, keep asking yourself that question. How am I going to get this money? What do I need to do to get this money? Just keep thinking on the thought, and then it will come to you how to make this happen. But your God, it's not you and I that have the power. He has the power. But we got to have faith in Him to draw on the power. May Allah bless us all with love and the light of understanding. Assalamu alaikum.